Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. If this is your first lesson, thanks for joining us. Super excited you could jump in. My name is Kristen. I'm part of the ADVizE project team. ADVizE is data visualization experience for pre-service teachers. If you've done some of our other lessons, good to see you. Welcome back. Excellent. So we're talking lots about data and how we help our pre-service teachers think about work with data themselves, but also just as important is how do we help them think about their future classrooms and teaching these data skills to their future students. So this next hands-on activity helps us create opportunities for our pre-service teachers to think about what it's like to be our students when they're working with data, when they're working with unfamiliar data. You ready? Okay, let's jump in. This is one of my favorites. I love it. Okay, so part A, part B. During part A, you are going to get a resource. I'll explain how to get it in just a moment. Okay, so you're going to get a resource. What I want you to do is I want you to jump in. When we do this with our pre-service teachers, they are in groups. So there is group 1, group 2, group 3. Group 1 gets a handout, group 2 gets the group 2 handout, group 3 gets group 3 handout, okay? So they will be talking amongst themselves. You are just going to be the royal we talking amongst yourself, looking at your handout and thinking about like what skills you're using in order to answer the questions on the handout, what you're paying attention to, reflect on how you're arriving at your answers. You can talk amongst yourselves inside your head, but our pre-service teachers would talk amongst themselves in their group about what they could or could not answer of the questions on the page. Okay, you got it? So you're going to look through your page and you're going to look through the questions, try to think about like, yes, how to answer them, but more like, how are you going about answering them? Okay, so back in the Canvas course, you want to look for the part A under the asset information, asset introduction. Click on part A, and then you decide. Do you want to be in group 1, 2, or 3? It doesn't matter. Just pick a number. What's your favorite number between 1 and 3? Pick that, download that PDF file for that resource, and then do this. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Pause this. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Go look at that handout after you've downloaded the PDF, and then come back. Got it? Okay. Okay, so how did it go? Now, what's important if you did group 1, group 2, group 3 is not important which one, but just remember what group you are because you need the same group. You need to look at the same group number for part B. We'll get there in a second. So, how confident are you that in your answers to this part A? Yep, feeling pretty confident? Okay. How confident do you feel you have any idea you know what the data were about? Now I'm gonna guess that you might be in a like or a not at all too confident about what the data are about. That's okay. Just you're gonna sort of note this, like we've got some pretty good, like I'm guessing, you've got some like feeling some pretty good confidence in your ability to answer those questions, but like not a real good sense of what this is, the data that you are looking at. Okay, just sort of note that as we move forward. With our pre-service teachers, we run this as a group conversation. So we're norm setting what's going on across everybody, across the whole groups, across groups 1, 2, and 3. How are we all feeling in terms of our confidence answering the questions on part A and our confidence in what the data are about? Each group has a different data set and a different data visualization. So with part B, same thing. So you're going to go to the Canvas page. You're going to follow the link for part B. You're going to download the PDF that relates to the group number you selected for part A. You got to make sure they align, right? Because each group has a different data set and different data visualizations. So once you get your part B, same thing. Look through the questions, think about how to answer them. What are you using to answer those questions? What are you paying attention to? How are you arriving at your answers? What can you or can you not answer? Now, set a timer for 3 minutes. If you want to go longer, that's fine. 3 minutes, pause this recording, go do that, and then come back. Okay, Welcome back. Now my question is, how did it go this time? So how confident do you feel in your answers to part B? Now, this is where it's hard because we're doing this asynchronously, so I can't know what you're actually answering, just like the last time I couldn't. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that your confidence has decreased, that you feel less confident in your ability to answer the questions on part B than you did in part A. This is typically what comes out when we run this activity with pre-service teachers and with in-service teachers. So then the conversation expands into, so what made us pause when we're doing or trying to answer the questions on part B? And so we have a discussion about that where we're thinking of like, oh, what's the difference between part A questions and part B questions? And one of the big differences between part A and part B is that part A are more of the orientation, execution, lookup type questions of the data. And part B are more of the interpretation, the synthesis, the pulling it together. What does it mean? How does it relate to other things? So part B is more about interpretation and interpretation in the broader context. And part A is more about sort of orientation, what is on the page, which is why we don't need to know what the data are about. We don't need to have context to be able to feel pretty confident in how we can answer the questions on part A as experts who work with data. But we don't have the context. We don't understand what's going on in the data. So it's really hard to answer part B questions. Now, what's interesting about this activity, yes, it's called the nonsense data activity, put together by some great colleagues of mine a while ago, is what it's really illuminating is that we or our pre-service teachers or their future students can be missing the answers on part B because they don't understand the content. That's what I took away from you all. You are experts at data skills. You are experts at integrating content and data. So what I took away was the content or the context of the data. So that makes it really hard to answer those questions. But here's the deal. For our novices, it's also, maybe they fully understand the content, but they don't actually have the data skills on how to describe and analyze what's going on in the data, how to infer meaning from it, how to interpret the data in context. Those are data skills that they are missing that are necessary for answering the part B questions. Or they might have the data skills and they understand the content, but they're not actually sure how to connect those together. That integration of the content and the data, as in I can execute interpreting data in a math classroom, like with a totally made up simulated data set, but I cannot actually interpret the data in this particular math example that is from a real world data set that has a content application of what that slope means to the broader context. That integration piece might be what the students are missing. But the challenge is the way this structure of the activity is written, where part A is just orientation, execution type questions, and part B jumps all the way to interpretation or synthesis. We don't know where they're getting tripped up. We don't know if they're missing the content because we actually haven't asked how they understand the content. We don't know if they're getting tripped up on the data skills because we haven't fully scaffolded the data skills in this activity. We haven't taken them from orientation to initial data exploration and analysis and describing patterns to interpreting the patterns, interpreting the data in the context of the data set, and then asking them to think about what it means in that broader synthesis. And so we're missing some of those steps along the way. So we don't know where they're falling off in the working with this kind of learning experience. And this is what the nonsense data activity is all about, is giving us an opportunity to think about what is it like to be our learners when they're working with an unfamiliar data set. We, as the facilitators of a learning experience, so you for your pre-service teachers, them for their future students, they'll know the content, they'll know the data skills, They'll know why they selected that data set, or that data visualization. They'll know what they want their students to get out of it in terms of the learning objective. They've got it all. It's a stacked deck, as it should be, but our learners don't. And so kind of creating this opportunity of like, oh, what is that like, is part of the nonsense data activity. And the other is to think about how critical it is our sequence of that learning experience influences what we get out. And what we get out from our students is only as good as what we put in, what we ask for. And so if we're not asking them to make their thinking visible about the content, about the different data skills, about the integration of the data, of the content and the data skills, then we don't actually know where they're falling short. We don't know where they're getting tripped up and struggling. Now, one important caveat, and what's included in the activity slides to tell our pre-service teachers, is that this is an activity for adults. They can absolutely share it with their future colleagues when they get into a school placement, 100% in a department meeting, but this is not an activity that they should be bringing to their future K-12 students. We have run it, we have tried it in every different iteration, and consistently across the board, no matter how old they are, students walk away with the, oh, it's okay, I can only answer the questions on part A and not part B. That's not the intention. So this is an activity designed for adults, for educators, to think about what it's like to be students working with unfamiliar data and why our sequencing of our learning experiences are so important for setting our students up for success and for us up for success, so that we can help them make their thinking visible, so that we can know how to support them going forward to help them, our students, build out more of those skills. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. I love the nonsense data activity. Until the next lesson, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.